Hello, everyone. Welcome. Happy Saturday. How's everybody doing? How are
I'm
you,
well.
Hendo?
I'm well in yourself. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great. I am doing great. We're just coming here to hang out and to talk some Ravens football for a little bit. That's what we're doing tonight. So let's get into it. Yeah.
All right. What are we discussing tonight?
Well, I mean, first, Justin Madubuike just got
Okay.
paid like 4 years, $98 million,
Mm-hmm.
up to $98 million. That is awesome. I'm happy that he's back. And I'm more importantly, I'm glad they got the deal done before the start of like next week's deadline because we need to free up salary cap money because the Ravens really need to address the offensive line,
Mm-hmm.
wide receiver,
Okay.
and running back.
Okay.
How do you feel about it?
Um, I'm player first. I'm always player first. So I'm always glad when a player gets his money, whether he deserves it or he doesn't, whether he's
Mhm.
with my team or he's not. I'm glad when players get paid because they have a very demanding job. They put their lives on the line. I'm sorry, they cut years off of their lives playing this sport. So get your money while you can because the average NFL career is only about 3 years. But this signing to me, I don't like it personally. I don't like it. I like that he got his money. I don't like it. And we've spoke about this before on other channels. Listen, he had an outstanding year. 13 sacks, 64 pressures, 38 hits. Love it. Love it. But we need to put more money into the offensive side. Now, guaranteed that granted he got a long-term deal done, which brought us to around even at the salary cap. We're even. But as you stated, we have what 25 free agents currently available.
We
being
do.
even being even is not going to help that out. Then if we want to go out here and sign someone else, that deficit in money is not going to help us bring in the free agents that we need. So that's why I don't like this signing because we do this every year. We allocate so much money to the defensive side of the ball. And granted, the defense plays well, but they don't play lights out compared to the money that they're given. You understand what I'm saying? Like they're putting so much money in it. We have a $70 million safety. We have a $98 million cornerback. We have a $98 million defensive tackle. We have a $100 million linebacker. Now, when we needed them to shut the Kansas City Chiefs down, granted, they did a great job. But for the money that we're expensing to that, it's not showing up because in today's NFL, you don't win with defense. The best defenses in the league are getting lit up during the playoffs. Cleveland was the number two defense in the league, the number two. What did and granted Joe threw a couple of interceptions here, but they gave up 48 points in essence to a rookie quarterback and a rookie head coach. And their problem was they couldn't score points. So what did they do today? They went out, they signed Jared Judy to pair them with Amari Cooper, two players that they got for fifth and sixth round picks.
I
You telling
know.
you're telling me the Ravens couldn't do that? So I just think that we as a whole, we need to invest more money into the offensive side. And with this signing, they're going to use this to me as an excuse why, oh, we can't go sign this guy. We can't trade for that guy. We just don't have enough money to get it done. And this is what Ravens fans time and time again say to us in the comments. Man, we can't afford that. This isn't Madden. It's never Madden when it comes to the offensive side. It's Madden when it comes to the offensive side of the ball. It's always we ain't got that money. But when there's a defensive player out there that's available, you got to get him no matter what. I don't care what he costs.
Yeah, I mean, and to your point, I take your point, but I will say this. I'm very happy that we're keeping Justin Madubuike. I'm not
Okay.
super pleased with the price tag that came with it, but I really am grateful for him because he had a really phenomenal season last year. Good evening. I hope you're doing
What's
well.
going on?
Thank you for joining. But I probably, I guess, hi Nana, how are you?
How
Thank
you
you for
doing?
joining. I My thoughts are yes, we have historically invested way too much money on the defense. And we at this point need to really strongly, especially with the increase in salary cap. I'm
Right.
not ready to get too excited about the extra money until I see how they're going to manage those extra funds because mismanagement of money is a big thing for me. And I have seen where the Ravens, in my opinion, have mismanaged the resources. And so before I,
I'm sorry, I got a question.
okay,
What
I
funds?
begrudge
What funds? Mismanaged what funds?
the funds that they seem to have depleted each year.
Oh, because I thought you meant with the increase in salary cap, they had more money to spend. You know.
No, no, they
Okay,
don't.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, but I was saying that like I need to see what the plan is going to be now that they do have more money. I don't know how that's going to translate because of the deficit that we were in. It's one thing that we signed Madubuike and that ate away at some of the, like you said, we're like breaking even now. Eric DaCosta, he can't stop here. There's going to have to be a lot of restructuring that has to happen because at the end of the day, if Lamar Jackson is not protected as a quarterback, I'm going to be really upset. So I do think that, it wasn't a liar's luncheon. It was stated. They are planning to really beef up that offensive line. That's what they're planning to do. And thank goodness this draft class is very deep in terms of offensive linemen and even wide receivers. So,
You know who Sunshine Anderson is? Okay, she's a singer, and she had the song. I heard it all before. I've heard this all before as well. And to me, I I think I think that a lot of times we give built-in excuses. There are excuses to do things. Now, I could be wrong. I mean, I've mostly been right in the past, but I could be wrong. By everybody saying that this is an offensive lineman rich draft, you know what that's going to do? That's going to give the Ravens brain trust the opportunity to trade back. Oh, it's offensive talent, offensive line talent all over. We don't have to stay at 30. I can drop back a little bit and acquire more picks. But
mhm,
with this offensive talent rich draft, you're still getting lesser talent to get third and fourth and fifth round picks for positions that don't pan out. And I think this is the reason why we're in a position that we're in right now. And we've discussed this ad nauseum before about how we go into the draft and we draft a certain position. They don't start playing well until year four or maybe year end of year three. And during those 2 years, 2.5 years, we go out and sign free agents to compensate for what those draft picks are not doing because we've traded so far back. We've bypassed all of the talent. So now we're creating cap room, we're creating void years, and we're reaping, and I would say the benefits of what has happened so far. These void years, like I don't understand. I would be highly upset if the Ravens resign Gus Edwards. I would be highly upset if the Ravens resign Kevin Zeitler because they let the void year deadline pass. So now you have millions of dollars in a cap hit, and then now you have to resign them and add more money onto your salary cap. So my thing is, I'm not understanding the direction that they're going in and what they're doing. If you know you can't draft as well as some other people, now he's hit recently. He's hit recently on some first
he has.
rounders,
He has.
but throughout since 2019, you have had the most draft picks of any general manager in the NFL, and you may have hit on an 8% clip. It's not a good percentage.
Wow. I didn't know it was 8%. That's rather low. But I do want to bring back up Big Reg's comment. He said, basically the Ravens are finally keeping their word, but it wasn't the right guy. Good question. What do you think?
I already explained. No, they didn't. They
But
should,
but why is he not the right guy?
because of the money that has been allocated to him. And like I said, I take nothing from him. He's an outstanding player. He had a phenomenal year. Phenomenal year.
He did.
But what about the 3 years prior? And more importantly, you also have to think of our history as a franchise. Only two times, I think, in the last 8 years, I'm gonna count 2019 and 2023 as the two seasons in the last 7 to 8 years that the Ravens physically have been healthy at the end of a season. There's normally a myriad of injuries that the Ravens go through year in and year out. So you have to allocate a certain amount of funds to find people to come off the street and play. And most important to me is Marcus Williams. Has he been truly healthy for the last 2 years?
Yeah, it's not.
Shout out
You
for my
have
new
to.
subscriber.
Thank
Have they
you.
been truly healthy for the last 2 years? So now we have to get that third safety in there just in case he can't play. But once again, we're already so tied up against the cap because we had to resign this defensive tackle. Now, if he were per se an Aaron Donald, I get it because he impacts games on a year-to-year basis, not 1 year. I can't pay you on your best productive year, being that it came in a contract situation.
Okay, so two things I'll say to that. Number one, how many years has Aaron Donald been in the league? Compared to Madubuike's, since I think he was drafted 2020, so 4 years. Okay,
Mhm.
versus Aaron Donald's how many? So it's to me those two are not quite comparable. But I will say, in my opinion, I think to answer Reg's question, is it the right guy? Yes and no. I think he is the right guy. I just think the price tag for him was just a bit too steep. And again, I'm with you. I'm totally with you, Hendo, and like not wanting to slight the players in terms of them going out and getting their money. Absolutely. Go for it. But knowing that we have so many gaps and so many holes to fill on
Mhm.
this team, especially if the goal is we were so close to a Super Bowl,
Mhm.
so close. We just need to bring in one or two other key pieces and then we'll be there. Well, that's not really true because now you're losing. You have at least right now 24, 25 players that are question marks. So the Ravens have a lot of tough decisions
Mhm.
to make. And I'll ask this question to you and to those in the chat as well. And if you happen to be watching this on replay, let us know. Leave a comment down below and let us know, what are a couple of free agents that you would say these are must resign? We have to resign them, hook or crook. We need to bring these guys back. Who would it be for you?
Resign our own.
Resign our own. If we have Ravens players who are now free agents, if you had one or two of them, these to me are we must bring these back. Who would they be?
None of them. None of them. And to your point about Justin Madubuike being the right person, because of his price, he wasn't the right person. Because we knew he was going. He knew his salary that he commanded was going to put us behind the eight ball. So
Hmm.
to me, that doesn't make it the right person. You know, the Ravens like to say right player, right price. Just to me personally, like to Reg's comment, AD has been doing it since day one. And I wasn't expecting Madubuike to do it since day one because he was a third round pick.
Yeah.
But I expected at least a level of consistency and then an explosion. Not just, I'm muddling around, explode. Because what happens now, and Ravens fans are notorious for this. If he has a down year next year, they're going to vilify him. They're going to be like, oh, this bum, why did he get the card? They're going to turn on him for a down year. So, but to me, who should we bring back? I mean, I can't listen. I would love to have Jadeveon Clowney back, but that 2.3 million that he signed for this year is not going to be the case. Kyle Van Noy, he's going to demand a pay increase. I'd like to have him back. Kevin Zeitler, if we can't find anybody to replace him, okay, but he's on a decline. And for
Yeah.
me, I don't see signing him to a 1, 2, 3 year contract for a stopgap. You need to find somebody that's young that you can build this offensive line with. And something you said earlier about the ultimate goal being a championship and how do we get there? If you look at 2019, you look at 2020, you look at 2023. What was the issue in all three of those playoff seasons? We could not score points. And we could not score points because we could not protect Lamar. And to me, an offensive lineman protecting our quarterback, who in a season where he had no weapons, but he had some darn good protection, he won a unanimous MVP. But yet and still, this defensive tackle, how does he win us games? He doesn't. He can affect the game here and there, but he doesn't win us games. Lamar wins us games.
Yeah.
And how do you better effectively let Lamar win us games? By surrounding him with a cast that accentuates his abilities. Justin Madubuike doesn't do that. Getting people talking about drafting a cornerback in the first round. A cornerback. How many cornerbacks do we need? I saw a mock draft where they had a cornerback in the first and an edge rusher in the second. How does this help Lamar? We have 25 cornerbacks on the roster that Eric DeCosta has drafted. We have a
Pepe.
first, we have a first and second round edge rusher that when are we going to see it? And that's because we draft projects. We draft guys that we think can play, we hope can play, but we don't know if they can play. So my thing now is get Lamar his weapons. Let's stop this insanity of doing the same thing season after season after season and try a brand new approach. If we go all offense and don't win, all right, mea culpa. I was wrong, my bad. But we're not even trying to figure out if we can win offensively. Defense has not been a problem with the Baltimore Ravens in the playoffs. I did a video where I said, outside of the Houston Texans game, if we take away the Houston Texans game, the Ravens offense averages 9 points per game in the playoffs. The defense, even with the Houston Texans game, even with the 28 points given up by the Tennessee Titans, the Ravens defense in the playoff has given up 13 points per game. They have not given up on average 2 touchdowns per game, but we can only score 9 points per game. Now we put the Houston Texans game in there, that bumps it up to 13 points as well. So your offense is scoring 13 points in critical situations, and people are still saying, give me more defense, when the defense has never been a problem come playoff time.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I think the resources really need to be allocated to the offense because, as we've seen, we can have a wonderful, stellar even defense, but if we can't put up points, it's a non-factor, it's a non-starter. What's the point? What's the purpose? So our ability to protect Lamar, give Lamar some time so that he can go through his reads and have time to allow the receivers to, and to get where they need to be. And we just need more time. So the offensive line has to hold up one way or another.
Right. And to Nana's point, listen, I'm not an EDC apologist by any means, but I do think he is a little bit hamstrung with having John Harbaugh as his coach. I think he has to do certain things in a certain way because John Harbaugh has so much power with this organization that he has to do things. Like, I don't think, and I could be wrong, I don't think EDC is going to draft a fullback in the 5th round from Michigan. I don't think that's going to happen.
Hopefully
but
not.
Harbaugh is our biggest problem because he can't coach. He doesn't do anything. He's scared to hire innovative coaches that are going to help Lamar take his talents to new heights. We all know John Harbaugh's a problem. I don't know why people still want to say he's a top 5 Hall of Fame coach. He's done nothing. If you take the years in between the Ray Lewis years and the Lamar Jackson years, when he had to coach, when he didn't have the talent, he had to coach. And I think this is the dichotomy or the argument that we get into when we speak about Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin has taken teams with backup and third string quarterbacks and gone to the playoffs. He's shown in down years, I can still get my team to 500 no matter what's going on around me. When John Harbaugh doesn't have transcendent talent around him, he doesn't get anything done. And he just stands on the sideline looking confused.
Certainly. What you're saying.
Put up that last comment. I'm sorry. Put up that last comment because this is facts. Not that one, the one before it.
You said the last comment.
No, before the Bradley's comment right before the bridge. Thank you. Says it's a passing league and EDC can't get wide receivers, pass blockers, pass rushers, or corners. He's a problem. Thanks.
Well, yes, Bradley, to your point, I absolutely agree. To me, this needs to be Eric DeCosta's make or break season, off season rather. This needs to be it. Because sure, have there been a lot of misses along the way? Of course. Jalen Armour-Davis, Pepe Williams. I mean, and we could go down the laundry list of players that haven't panned out. And no, we're not talking about OA here, but we're not. And but this to me really needs to be the off season where Eric DeCosta is able to demonstrate, like, hey, I've listened, I've learned, I've studied, I've watched, I've paid attention. And as much as we have given to the defense to be successful, we need to give as much or even more to the offense so that they can be successful. Because without points, without the ability to score points, we're just barely relevant. Barely relevant. And all of
And
these other teams. And when we start to see, and I know how I felt last offseason, I'm starting to feel that way now. I start to get a little nervous when I see other teams making moves like Jerry Judy. Welcome to the AFC North. When I start to see that, I'm like, what are you going to do next, Eric DaCosta? What's your plan? So that's what
mhm.
I'm looking for.
Yeah, and listen, Ozzie Newsome was a problem. Ozzie Newsome was not perfect at all. But one
Mm-mm.
thing I'm gonna say about Ozzie Newsome is he gonna hit on his first round picks for the most part. He's gonna hit on his first round picks. He's not going after projects, and whether it was successful or it wasn't successful, Ozzie went after big name free agents,
Yeah.
and that big name free agent acquisition got us a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
When he went and got Tony Siragusa, Sam Adams, when he went out and got those Shannon Sharp, Rod Woodson, he went out. Nobody's perfect. And if you don't win, I'm not faulting you for that. My thing is, if you're going to do something, go all the way with it. The Ravens, and John Harbaugh has said this, we are historically trying to be the best running team in NFL history. He said this many times. But yet still, you want to go out and find the cheapest running backs you can find. Like, make that part make sense to me. You want to be the best at what you do, but you bring in supplemental pieces to try to achieve this. Like that doesn't compute to me. But yet and still, like we said before, if we don't have cap room and a cornerback comes available who has a $15 million price tag, we make money. We move stuff aside to get that cornerback. But if it's a running back that we need that can probably take us somewhere else, it's like pockets a little thin. I don't think we can do it.
We're going to have.
So yes, none of the no general manager is perfect. Everybody has their flaws. My thing is, if you try and you fail, you try and you fail. You're not going to win the Super Bowl every year. But to me, we've had 2 years where we've had the best teams in the NFL, and we didn't make it to a Super Bowl. If we'd have went and lost, it happens. But we didn't make it, and it's because we're still with that antiquated philosophy of let's run the ball and play some good defense. Even though the best defenses in the NFL are getting torched, you have
Yeah.
to score points today.
Absolutely. And to Tanja's point, if all of these other teams are starting to make moves, we need to pay attention to. We need to say, these teams looked at their roster. They're starting to shore up weak areas. We need to do the same thing. We know we have a lot of free agents who are probably not going to return next year.
Too
With
many of them.
we have too many. 24 now with the minus Justin Madubuike. So we're
Mhm.
down to 24. Okay. In a week's time, we've whittled down one. We still have 24 more to sift through. And what are we going to do? And I'm trying to be patient, and I'm trying not to get, anxious about it. But certainly it is an area of concern when I see other teams out there adding to their roster, trading away their draft picks, which is something I know the Ravens just historically have not done. But you got to do it. If hoarding draft picks is not going to be fruitful for you in the long run, get rid of your draft picks. Bring in the talent while you can, while you have the opportunity in front of you. So it's going to be an uphill climb for us as Ravens fan, because we were right there at the Super Bowl. Like, we were right knocking on the door to let us into the gate, and we botched it. And so to get us back to that place, that's going to be really tough.
I hope we go all in on Saquon Barkley. I hope we go all in on a big time running back, because if we make it to the playoffs with a big time running back, there is no excuse that you are going to run him 3 times. You put Saquon back there, even an older Derrick Henry. You go into a playoff game and you leave and say Derrick Henry only got 3 carries. Somebody's getting fired.
Yeah.
Somebody's getting fired. The excuses have to be levied. Like, it has to be lifted. The
Mm-hmm.
excuses, because we keep. And my thing is, it's not like we go to the playoffs and we lose differently every time. Like, it's a bad break here, somebody gets hurt, something happens. Every time we go to the playoffs, the defense holds it down,
Yep.
and the offense can't score points.
But
We
it
lose
was,
our identity.
but I mean, I still don't understand how, I don't know what offense that was in the AFC Championship. I really don't. And I'm not trying to be crass. I'm being serious. When I look at them on the field for the AFC Championship, I don't recognize them. Like, who are you? This is not who you've been for the last 18, 19 plus weeks. So I don't know.
It's
But
it is us. It's get to the playoffs and play a whole different brand of football. We've done it repeatedly. So we're showing you who we are. And I think teams know it. And there was a Mike Tomlin quote where he said, "Hey, if you keep the Ravens down for a couple of quarters, they just gonna give up." And he put that out to the league, and I think it's true. Like mentally, we went into that game frazzled. We went to that game. They messing with our kicker. They got into our head psychologically. And from the start of that game, we just weren't prepared. And who's supposed to get you prepared for games? Your head coach.
Yeah.
Who's supposed to say, hey, Todd, we've run the ball 3 times in the first half. Gus just ran one for 15. What are you doing?
Where's Dalvin Cook? Is he here today? Like, did he show up? Is he in uniform? Is he dressed? Well, why isn't he making an appearance on the field? Those would have been questions because I still don't know why we didn't use Dalvin Cook.
Because you have an inept head coach who hired, and I don't want to do the ageism thing, but you watch all of these teams nowadays, for the most part, getting these fresh, new, innovative offensive coordinators. And every time John Harbaugh goes back to the old man, well, this is somebody that's not going to threaten me for my job, so come on down.
And I will say this, I hear your point, and I get it. And part of me believes that to be true. But when I see older, let me not even say older because that's not nice, seasoned, okay? When I see seasoned head coaches like Andy Reid still being able to be effective, incredibly effective, heck, win multiple Super Bowls in the last few years. What is it, 3 out of the last 5?
Yeah, something like that.
3 out of 5, 3 out of 6, whatever it is, 3 out of 5. He's up there in terms of like, he's not a young, innovative, but my point is he knows how to take charge of his team. And
but more importantly, he has a specialty, and his specialty has always been offense.
Yep.
So there lies the difference. John Harbaugh has no specialty. John Harbaugh is a special teams coach, and our special teams has been going downhill for the last 3 years. So where's your value to me as a head coach? Your specialty, we're failing at. So my thing is, if there's an area that I'm weak in, or not as strong in, I'm gonna bring in somebody to lift me up. I'm not gonna bring in somebody and be like, well, if they do good, I'm not gonna keep my job. They're gonna take my job. But if you're winning, you keep your job.
Yeah.
Make that make sense?
I don't get it. I really don't understand. So I'm cautiously optimistic this offseason. I do have some concerns. I'm going to proceed with caution. I'm still going to remain hopeful, but I need to have my confidence reassured here that EDC is going to make the right decisions and really do right. And not just EDC, whoever's making decisions in that front office too, as it concerns the draft, the free agency, because it's certainly not all EDC by himself. While he is a majority, there are checks and balances. So everyone who is in that front office who has a part to play, I just want them to do right by Lamar Jackson. And, it's hard to believe to say like, wait, he's going to be like 27 years old, or he's 27 now, and or however old he is, 26, 27. And, you hear talks like, hey, he's getting up there. He's getting older now. He's not, so I don't want them to continue to waste years making the same mistakes. I don't want them to waste prime years of Lamar Jackson's career making boneheaded, silly mistakes. I don't want to see that.
I want to see them find a replacement for Ronnie Stanley. And not to say to replace him right now. No. I'm not saying replace him right now. My thing is EDC should have drafted somebody, because Ronnie Stanley hasn't been healthy since 2019. You've known this. So you should have had a place in plan for him to have any kind of backup or somebody to groom.
Yeah.
We don't have that. What if he can't stay healthy this season? Who's going to take his place? And please don't say Pat McCarry, because he's looked horrible. Horrible.
Yeah. I'm not going to say he looked horrible. I'm going to say that he didn't look spectacular. There you go. And
That's
yes,
right. Keep up the positivity. Keep it up.
And yes, Jay, doing right by Lamar is not heavily investing in the defense.
But the detractors will tell you, if you got a good defense, they get Lamar the ball back. But if you get Lamar the ball back and they can't score, it's all for naught.
Yeah. Um, it's one of those things where we have to play the wait and see game. And I'm not the world's most patient person.
Mhm.
So this is this is hard for me. It's a challenge because I want him to actually like move, do something now, not now, right now. I want to see progress. I want to see like taking steps in the right direction to address all of the glaring issues that we all see as Ravens fans, right?
John Harbaugh was doing his Elvis impression. He's all shook up. Oh.
I'm with you. I'm with you, Nana. Like I've not really been one to be overly critical of John Harbaugh, but I certainly see areas where I have concerns, right? I definitely see things that at his point in his career, at the point where he is in terms of how many years he's been doing this thing as a head coach. Like if we want to compare like Mike McDonald, he's going to be now a first year head coach. If he makes mistakes along the way this upcoming year, that's to be expected. Or
Mhm.
even second year, it's to be expected. But what I don't like to see is the same mistakes repeated year after year after year. That's where I lose patience. That's
Mhm.
where I lose faith in you as a leader. That's where I start to wonder, is this really what you're supposed to be doing? Is this really what you're called to do? Because at what point do you learn? At what point do you grow? The time clock management issue really bugs me. So I'll leave it alone.
Yeah, I just yeah, but when do you learn? Like when do you learn? This hasn't worked for the last however many years. Let me try something else. Like
Yeah.
I'm not understanding it. And what told me, we've known certain things for a while, but what told me John Harbaugh is a problem
Hmm.
is when the Ravens gatekeepers turned on him.
Yeah.
When the Ravens gatekeepers started
Hmm.
questioning John Harbaugh's leadership, you have a problem because they would defend him tooth and nail. He
Yeah.
could do no wrong because he won a Super Bowl so many years ago.
Hmm.
But now they're like, I'm starting to see the chinks in the armor. So you know that it's a problem with him. And my thing is, even like I said, even if you make mistakes, if you learn from those
Yeah.
mistakes, John Harbaugh's going into what, his 17th year?
17.
His 17th
Yeah.
year, and you still have time management issues. You still have timeout issues. You still don't know when to challenge a
Challenge.
play. Like, how did your team is still undisciplined? Like, I thought, and for me for a while, I was like, oh man, Judon is so undisciplined because he used to always get silly, unsportsmanlike penalties. I'm like, Matt Judon, what are
Penalty.
you doing?
Yeah.
That's so dumb. But it just festered, and it's the team. It wasn't just the one player. And
Yeah.
I think John Harbaugh is a detriment to our team, especially when, like, my thing is this: I don't care how you feel certain things as a person.
Mm-hmm.
You don't verbalize it, especially in the business that you're in. You
Yeah.
don't sit there at a press conference and say, listen, if you're a wide receiver worried about your numbers, don't come here. I don't want you. What? You telling me
Yeah.
somebody that's worried about winning and getting the ball, helping you win games, you don't want him to come here? You're pushing talent away.
Yeah.
And he may be a player's coach, and he may seem like he's so fun loving and easygoing, but there comes a time. If you look at they did the NFLPA's, they did a survey on the franchises recently.
Mm-hmm.
John Harbaugh came in 20th. So the players that everybody says he's such a player's coach,
Yeah.
I guess they wouldn't feel him like they thought.
I mean, as time wears on, I think especially players like Marlon Humphrey, players who've been with John Harbaugh for years, if we as fans are getting frustrated,
Yes.
how much more are the players who are actually on the field getting frustrated? So,
Please put up the one's comment, please. And when I saw this stat, I lost my mind.
yeah.
And I didn't listen. I didn't lose my mind because
Hmm.
he's 0-31 when he doesn't run the ball 20 times or more.
Oof.
What made me lose it was the fact that your head coach states that he goes off of things based on analytics.
Analytics.
And he's such an analytical coach.
Yeah.
That is an analytical stat. So you're
Yeah.
telling me you're only analytic when it comes to certain things. You didn't know you were 0 for 30 at that time when you
Hmm.
run the ball less than 20 times a game. You didn't know this? Like, you should have a statistician in the building that has, like, yo, when this happens, this happens. When you go over game plans, that's supposed to be something that they talk about.
Right.
Tendencies.
Yes.
And there should be something spoken about the tendency that if we don't run the ball, we don't win. And you,
Mm-mm.
as my leader, should know this. And if you don't
Yeah.
have the situational intelligence
Yeah.
to realize these things, I need you gone. And I need you to get somebody in here that's going to manage this team a little bit better, because we are, in essence, wasting Lamar's best years.
I don't want that to happen anymore. That's really, really
Oh,
bothering me.
songstress. Oh, songstress. Say it again.
Say it
Say it
louder for the
again.
people in the back, songstress.
Because I done heard in the last 30 days, Andrew Voorhees is going to come and be a star. He's going to come off of an
Mm,
ACL injury, never playing in the NFL, and be a
right.
star and protect Lamar Jackson. Maybe
Mm,
he will, but why do we have to do that? Like I
yeah.
said, we've wasted so much time with the maybes and ifs. We wasted a whole season where they said, hey, you need to let these young boys cook. You need to let Duvernay, you need to let Tyler Wallace, you need to let Prochet lead this team and see what they can do. Because I believe that if given the opportunity, they can do some special things. So in essence, you're telling me, Lamar, this is a wasted season. Let's see what we can get off the scrap heap. Let's see if we can make something of that. We listen, certain things are finite, certain careers are finite, certain peaks are finite.
Hmm.
And you have to capitalize. Lamar Jackson, you drafted him as a novelty, in my opinion. Drafted him as a novelty, thinking, yeah, this will be a splashy sign. It'll put some people in the seats, more PLC, whatever, PSLs signed, and bring more people to the stadium. Then what happens? We realize he's a real quarterback. And
Right.
ever since we realized Lamar was a real quarterback, we have
Hmm.
not surrounded him with the talent. You watch lesser quarterbacks get talent. They said, hey, y'all stupid. What y'all paying $30 million a year for Tyreek Hill for? He's making Tua Tagovailoa an all-pro.
That's
An
awful.
all-pro.
That's awful.
What could
That's
Lamar
awful.
do with Tyreek Hill? What could Lamar have done with Stephon Diggs?
Oh, but I just want to say,
Yeah.
Hendo, did you have to say crochet? Like,
They said it. They said all they need an opportunity. Prochet played against the Denver Broncos, had
okay,
7 catches for 74 yards.
but
He gonna go out here and cook.
I'm just saying, did we understood your point, but like, did you have to bring up crochet? But I move on. Nana, I'm sorry, Bradney is asking, is this a weekly show? No, it's not. But make sure you turn on your post notifications so that you're notified whenever these random, unscheduled live streams happen.
Please, and
Um,
listen, I'm sorry, more importantly, Yolanda is 3 subscribers away from 100. Let's get her to 100 by the end of tonight.
oh, thank you.
Please. If you got to take selfies from me and give them to her, I don't care. Let's get her to 100. I do believe she deserves it. But bring up Trey Smith's comment, please. Trey Smith says, in retrospect, was signing Odell Beckham a mistake? He doesn't really appear to have made an impact during the time he's been with the Ravens. Professor Smith. Professor Smith, yes, it was a mistake. And we told y'all it was a mistake when they signed him. Now, it was a negotiating ploy to get Lamar to sign his contract and come with the Ravens.
Yeah.
But he also gave them the option to go with DeAndre Hopkins, a more productive receiver that was healthy.
Yep.
This man is coming off of 2 ACL injuries. 2 ACL injuries. He took a year off. I knew him coming in, even at his best, he wasn't going to be a number 1 receiver. He wasn't going to be a player that was worth $15 million. We said this, and everybody told us, oh, y'all don't know what y'all talking about. This Odell Beckham Jr. we talking about. No, they did that to say, look, we're investing in the offense.
Yeah. And I just want to take a moment to tell Professor Smith, I'm so happy that you joined. He was my law school professor, the Rice, 3 different times, and just a wonderful, wonderful legal mind, just scholarly, excellent, but just so down to earth, such a good, caring person. So I'm happy you're here. Thank you so much for joining.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. And Nana, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Doesn't she? Listen, I need y'all to ease Yolanda's thoughts. Tell her that her show is amazing and she makes it amazing.
Oh gosh, you guys are great. Thank you so much. But I just like coming on here, talking, sharing my thoughts. But that was a great question, Professor Smith.
So
Yes.
you doing this every Saturday? Or did you? Oh no! Or did you say Purple Friday? You were doing a Purple Friday show. Which one was it?
Neither, because Big Reg has Fridays on lockdown.
No, he has Thursdays on lockdown.
No, I thought he's starting something new with his
he's
brother
going on
Fridays. Yeah, I thought he's starting something new.
Okay, so then you got Saturdays. Perfect.
No, wait, I didn't say that. Because we have to hang with Hendo on
we
Saturday.
did hang with Hendo.
I know. So
And I
unfortunately,
I can move hanging the Hendo at set to 7.
nah,
But
don't worry.
I'm only doing that twice a month though.
Nah, we can do it more than twice a month. But yes, to answer your question, Professor Smith, yeah, that was way too much money to pay for OBJ. Way too much money.
Too much.
And ever since we got rid of Hollywood Brown, who I don't know how their connection was so great, but ever since we got rid of Hollywood Brown, I don't know that the Ravens have even considered a viable option as a replacement. So that's a must. He's got to, we've got to be able to have someone who Lamar
So
can connect with.
so I'm not sure if you remember this, right? The draft that they traded Hollywood Brown,
I remember.
right?
Hmm.
Do you know, with all the picks that the Ravens had, they did not draft one wide receiver?
Not one. I thought they were going to, but even if they didn't, because let's say arguably someone in the draft might, they're obviously going to be a rookie. If the Ravens said, well, we don't want to invest that much into a rookie, where did you go into free agency to replace them? Who did you bring in other than OBJ?
Shamar Bridges, undrafted free agent that was supposed to save the Ravens.
And I was a Shamar fan. And the reason why I was a Shamar fan in the beginning is because I've always felt like, and Tanj knows this, I've always felt like the Ravens really do need that big body wide receiver to go up and make those contested catches. Like that is lacking in my book.
Okay.
Why can't we get a DK Metcalf? And am I saying that Shamar Bridges is a DK Metcalf? No, absolutely not. But when DK Metcalf was a free agent a couple of years back, what did the Ravens do?
I got a question for you. Over the last 10, 11 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Arguably, who has been the best wide receiver in the NFL?
Um, I
If
mean,
not,
I
I
don't.
can. If
Yeah,
not, I
go
can
ahead
tell
and
you.
go ahead and tell me.
Arguably, over the last 10 years, and the best wide receiver in the NFL was Antonio Brown.
Mm,
Look up his numbers. Look up
mm,
his numbers. Look up his numbers. And the only one that was comparable to him was Julio Jones.
Julio Jones.
But
That would have been my choice.
but Antonio Brown's numbers were better, and he's 5'11". Height is not a skill.
Right. It certainly is not. It absolutely is not. And I'm not saying that like if you don't have a 6'2" or 6'1" or 6'3" wide receiver, you're not going to be able to be successful. I'm not saying that at all. But we did not have a wide receiver who was complementary to the style of Lamar Jackson like we did in Hollywood. Those two
Right.
had a chemistry, they had a connection. Who and Hollywood Brown is what, 5'9", 5'10"?
About 5'9".
Okay, 5'9".
What
But
about
he
6'1" Rashad Bateman? Hollywood Brown, 6'1" Rashad Bateman. Height does not equate to play.
it does not. It certainly does not. I just personally would have wanted that in the absence of having someone like a Hollywood Brown, even on the shorter side, even on, like you said, height is not a skill. No, it's not. But you put Hollywood Brown out there
Marlon
and
Brown.
what did you say?
Marlon Brown, 6'4". Tommy Streeter. Marlon Brown, 6'4". Tommy Streeter,
Mhm.
6'5". Shamar Bridges, 6'5". We've had big receivers that have
Nothing.
done nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. Our leading wide receiver in history is 5'11", Derek Mason,
Hmm.
in team history.
Right.
Listen, I understand the wanting the big body because you think they can get you the ball. No, I want somebody that can play. That's the only thing I'm concerned with. Get players that can play. Don't get me projects. Don't get
Yes.
me, in college, he looked like this, and I think that he can come in the NFL. Get guys that were actually productive. And yes, Zay.
They does
I don't know what the problem is with Zay and Lamar on the deep ball
on the
because
deep ball.
their connection is not like Hollywood's and Lamar's.
It's not.
Listen, Hollywood and Lamar's connection was imminent from day one.
Yes.
Like you could see the first game against Miami.
Yeah.
You could see that deep ball connection, and they've always had
Always
it. I
had
don't
them.
know what the problem is with him and Zay, why they just keep being, it's always a yard or two off.
It's just not all there.
I bring back Hollywood.
I would bring him back in a New York minute.
But
Please.
but you bring back Hollywood and get somebody else. That doesn't stop. That doesn't stop you from bringing in a big name wide receiver, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The more weapons you have, the more opportunities, the less opportunities you have for teams to stop you.
Yeah. I wanted T. Higgins. I mean, I
Oh,
did.
we
That's
got us
what
Pat. We got Patrick Queen instead. And how's Patrick Queen signing looking for us going forward?
it's
What
not.
is what is that what is that doing for us going forward?
It's not.
How's that looking?
He's priced himself out of Baltimore. So no,
Right
there
to
is
Seattle.
no. Yeah. He's heading over to Seattle. So that's what we're going to expect from him. Going back to a point that our question or a comment from earlier, I think Nana raised it. Like, and I don't remember, but I want the Ravens to stop putting all of their eggs in the basket of injured players. That bothers me. That really bothers me. Whether it's a free agent who has, coming off of an injury, whether it's someone in the draft who gets injured during the combine, or whether it's someone who's already a Raven and they're coming back as a Raven and they had a previous injury that year. I want them, like J.K. Dobbins,
Mm-mm.
classic example. I don't want to hear, oh, well, if we bring J.K. Dobbins back, we'll be set at running back. We'll have everything we need. J.K. Dobbins, and yes, I've seen the clips of him running on the treadmill. I've seen the clips of him demonstrating that, hey, I'm back. I get it.
Right.
But running on the treadmill versus being in an NFL game are two
Two
totally
different things.
different concepts.
Yeah, because
So
you have to cut. You
you
don't
have
run a
to,
shoe.
absolutely. And you've got all of these people chasing you and they're tracking you and you have to cut. So yes, I see it and I got excited, like, oh good, I'm glad he's rehabbing, going well. I'm glad he's back running and on the treadmill. That's wonderful. That's great. But if we have and another one, Keaton Mitchell. Please do not put all of your stock in the return of Keaton Mitchell. You have to allow for there to be the possibility of either setback, inflammation, whatever it is.
Scar
When you're
tissue.
all of that scar tissue, whatever that is, you have to make allowances for that. And so to say, oh, well, we don't need any running backs. We have JK and then we have Keaton Mitchell. So I think we're set. I think we're good. We really believe in our guys. While
Right.
that may be, can we bring someone in to that position who is healthy and who,
I'm gonna give you a better example. Nick Boyle. He got injured and they re-signed him to a contract. Do you know this past season he counted as 3.1 million in dead money? You re-signed an injured player that couldn't play. And now you have, and this is why we're always up against the cap. You're
yeah,
re-signing people that got hurt.
we need to learn from that and we need to grow and we need to not put all of our stock in an injured players no matter what the length of their injury was or how long ago or how far that removed they are because we have a classic exhibit A, Ronnie Stanley. How many years now is he removed from his injury? What is it, 2 years, maybe three?
He was a little nicked up this year. So
Well, conceivably 99% of the NFL players are dealing with some type of ailment, some type of nick or some kind of
but it was from the previous injury though. So
correct. So that's my point. When you have a player who is already coming off of an injury, you have to be prepared that, hey, this could be re-aggravated. This could be, you know, re-injured. Like that's a possibility. That really is a thing.
oh
Re-injury.
so you saying we should have learned that in 2021 and 2022 when Ronnie Stanley kept getting hurt and we still didn't get his replacement. You
But
mean
that
then?
but that's my point.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly. Yes, you're right. So if we didn't learn it in 2021, we didn't learn it in 2022. We saw even more remnants of it in 2023. Going into 2024, I want us to not rely so heavily on players with an injury, even if it was a year ago or 2 years ago, and it doesn't matter. It's nice to have them, sure, but don't stop there.
Right.
Get you an insurance policy. Go get someone else at that position group to make sure that, like, if that person, if that player who you want to have starting in the position, if they're not really ready to go, or if there's a setback, or if they're not, if they're unavailable, you know that you can have somebody else to carry the load. That's my thought.
They did that though. And the crazy part is they did that with an even more injured player than Ronnie Stanley when they brought in Juwan James.
Or
And
Juwan
he
James,
got injured. He got injured, what, 4 plays in?
4 plays in.
He thought he was Aaron Rodgers.
Interesting.
He's like, he's over that injury history. Give him a
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah. So, well, this is going to be a very interesting week upcoming,
Yeah.
as you know, as we start. There's the legal tampering period, which is just so silly to me. But you've got that, and then you've got your, the deadline coming up next week. Is it the 13th or something like that? But we'll see what happens. We'll see what EDC has up his sleeve. I hope it's something great because we
Hopefully.
need it. We really, really need it. So I just want to tell everyone thank you so much for coming by. No, to Brodney's question, is this a weekly stream? I don't think so.
But
I'm not.
I'm sorry, excuse me. You've always told me you got to give the people what they want, though.
Yes, I have. I have always told you
And
that.
and the
And
people in the chat said they want to see you weekly.
no, that's not actually what.
Chat, did you not say you wanted to see this show every Saturday or every
Okay,
Friday?
well, thank you
Even
all
Reg,
so much for coming.
even Reg said, I'll give up my spot. He said he got some things going on. He'll give up his spot so you can do your show.
Oh, Reg, we wouldn't want you to do that.
No. He already said that he got other things that he needs to do. So you said give the people what they want. You tell me this every week when I'm like, I don't feel like live streaming. And you're like, you gotta live stream. You gotta live stream. You gotta give the people what they want. You can't deny them. So you can't deny the people for what they want. They want this entertainment from you. So you have to bring it to them on a weekly basis. Isn't this not the reason that you got into YouTube?
Yes, it absolutely is. Yeah, it is. But I didn't get into YouTube solely to live stream every week, but we'll see. We'll see. So just make sure that you turn on your post notifications, like I
But they
said.
telling you they want it though. Thank you, Nana, for stopping by. I appreciate you for hanging out with us the whole time. I appreciate you.
This has been great. This has been fun. Listen, my takeaway from this stream, Ravens have a lot of work to do in a very short amount of time. And I want to see Ravens, you're on the clock. What are you doing? So I'm going to continue to be optimistic. Professor Smith, you're supposed to be on my team here.
He is. He needs to see more Yolanda B.
But I do. I think that they have a lot of work to do.
You skipped this question.
What's this question?
Are you gonna? I think he said something about maybe. Are you gonna do a show on Yolanda learns slang?
No, because I'm not going to be the laughing stock when I don't get it right.
Say
When I
who
don't
and
get
what
it
now?
right.
Say who and what now? Listen, nobody is perfect. Nobody expects you to be perfect.
I know. I strive for excellence, not perfection.
Oh, so let me ask you this one question before we go.
You're fresh out of questions.
No, it's a quick question. Are you born into excellence? Or do you learn excellence? Or do you learn to be excellent? And not you personally, I mean just in general.
Just in general. I think excellence is a mindset.
Right. But it's still something to be attained.
Yeah.
Correct? Right. So we're not expecting you to be perfect off the bat. Great. Yolanda, learn slang. Got it. Put it on the board. Championship.
No, I didn't say it. I did not agree. I did not agree. No. Thank you all so much for stopping by and hanging out with us. This was supposed to be a very short stream, and this turned into a longer one.
But the people love you. But the people love you. But the people love you.
And I love them back.
And you got to give them what they want. Listen, next week, next Saturday, I don't know if it's going to be 8 or 9 o'clock, Yolanda will be here.
Oh, no, wait. If I didn't say it, you guys know that that's not true.
You do this for me all the time. You tell people what I'm going to do all the time. So, turnabout is fair play.
I know, right? I just want to say, if you are not signed up to Hendo's Patreon, or if you're not subscribed to Hendo's channel, please do so, because you missed the Patreon. Hanging with Hendo is only for patrons to his channel. And tonight we had the inaugural stream that included Chocolate Lady Cap. It was her first time on a live stream that I know of. And so she did a great job. She was great. And she offered some very good insight. So if you want to check that video out, you have to subscribe to Hendo's Patreon. But at any rate.
That's right. My patrons come on screen with me. And also, before we go, really quick, also for the patrons, and I'll reiterate this tomorrow night, April 6th, we are doing a stadium tour free of charge to all patrons. I'm giving the end of this week, the deadline for everyone who's going to participate in that to let me know.
Yeah, definitely let him know.
Wait a minute, Tanja. Whoa, Tanja, slow yo roll.
What did
wait,
Tanja
a, wait a minute. This is not what we discussed. We said Yolanda come on.
I love it, Tanja. I love how you think.
Everybody knows I don't like streaming.
Right, but you don't like streaming, but you do it so well, and you
I
do
do
it so
not. I do not.
and you do it
I
so
do not.
often.
I
So
do not.
it's what the people want. So you
No, they
have
do
to do.
not.
You have. Tanja just said it. Tanja just said it. That's evidence. That's direct evidence. So
I said the world is flat just now. Does that make it true?
no, because you said it. So, but Tanja did. So we got to listen to what Tanja has to say.
Okay.
Anyway,
For Tanja, I'll do one more appearance.
okay. For Tanja, he'll do all of the rest of the appearances that I ask him. Oh no. Okay. Anyway, well, guys, gals, thank you all so much for coming, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate it. Thank you, Hendo, for joining me tonight. This was so much
Anytime.
fun.
Anytime.
And until next time, I did not say next week. I said until next time, you all take care, stay safe. Always remember to go Ravens.
Wait a minute. Wait a
What?
minute. Brownie says if I do the show with you, I can cancel hanging with Hendo. Bet.
No, we can't
Bet.
cancel. No,
Bet.
no.
Bet.
You have a promise.
I'm about to hit the wop on y'all. Yeah, cancel that show.
No, absolutely not. And we're going to get out of here, guys. But you all take care, and we will see you soon. Go Ravens.